The first reports were brief and unsettling. Rob Reiner and his wife, Michele Reiner, were found dead inside their Brentwood home. At the beginning, there was no official statement explaining how it happened or why emergency crews were called. Within hours, the situation escalated. The Los Angeles Police Department assigned robbery-homicide detectives to the case, a move that immediately raised concern and shifted public attention from shock to suspicion. According to the Los Angeles Fire Department, first responders were dispatched to a residence in the Brentwood area on Sunday afternoon. Property records show the home belonged to Rob Reiner. Inside, a man and a woman were found deceased. Their ages were reported as being in their late 70s and late 60s. Shortly after, multiple outlets, including TMZ, identified them as Rob Reiner and his wife, Michele. What turned this from a tragic death into a developing criminal investigation was the description of the injuries. Police sources told TMZ that both individuals suffered lacerations described as being consistent with a knife. That detail alone suggested that investigators were dealing with something far beyond natural causes. Not long after that information became public, the LAPD confirmed that the case was being handled by robbery-homicide detectives. That assignment matters. In Los Angeles, this unit typically becomes involved when a death includes violence, suspicious injuries, or circumstances that are not immediately clear. It does not mean that a robbery has been confirmed, but it does indicate that investigators believe a crime may have occurred or cannot be ruled out. As of now, authorities have not released a cause of death. They have not stated whether there were signs of forced entry. They have not said if anything was taken from the home. They have also not explained what prompted the call for medical assistance in the first place. Those gaps are part of why this case continues to draw attention. Another detail that surfaced early was that one of the couple's sons had been questioned by police. At this stage, there is no indication that he has been arrested or charged with any crime. Questioning family members in cases like this is standard procedure. Investigators often start with the people closest to the victims to establish timelines, confirm routines, and understand who last had contact with them. Still, the mention of a son being questioned added another layer of complexity to an already disturbing situation. Rob Reiner was a household name long before this news broke. He first became widely recognized for his role as Michael Stivic on the television series All in the Family. The show aired during a period when American television was tackling subjects that were previously considered off-limits. Reiner's character became part of that cultural shift. Later, he transitioned into directing and built one of the most recognizable filmographies in Hollywood. He directed This Is Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, A Few Good Men, and The American President. These films span genres, generations, and audiences. Many people encountering this story today grew up watching his work or discovered it later through reruns and streaming. Michele Reiner largely stayed out of the public eye. She and Rob married in 1989 and remained together for decades. They shared 3 children, and Rob had a daughter from a previous marriage. Publicly, there were no reports of ongoing legal disputes, financial troubles, or highly visible family conflicts involving the couple. That absence of public warning signs has made the situation harder for many to understand. There was no buildup, no known threats, and no obvious explanation presented in the early hours. One day, everything appeared normal. The next, emergency vehicles were outside a Brentwood home, and homicide detectives were involved. Investigators will now focus on reconstructing what happened inside that house. They will examine entry points, security systems, and any surveillance footage from the area. They will interview neighbors and review phone records. They will attempt to establish a clear timeline, including when Rob and Michele were last seen or heard from and who noticed something was wrong. Autopsy results will be central to the case. They will help determine the cause and timing of death and confirm whether the injuries align with early reports. Toxicology testing can take weeks, sometimes longer. Until those results are available, law enforcement is likely to remain cautious about releasing additional details. For fans of Rob Reiner's work, the shock is not just about the loss. It is about the way this story unfolded. Seeing a figure associated with humor, romance, and iconic storytelling connected to an active homicide investigation feels deeply unsettling. Right now, the investigation is still in its early stages, and many of the most important questions remain unanswered. As investigators continue working the case, much of what the public is seeing right now reflects how early the process still is. Law enforcement has been careful with language, using terms like according to reports and avoiding firm conclusions. That caution is deliberate. In cases involving high-profile individuals, premature statements can complicate both the investigation and any future legal proceedings. One of the central questions surrounds timing. When were Rob and Michele Reiner last known to be alive? Who spoke with them most recently? Did anyone notice a break in routine? Investigators often begin by reconstructing an ordinary week. Phone calls, text messages, emails, deliveries, appointments, and even vehicle movement can help establish a clearer picture of the final hours. The Brentwood neighborhood itself may also provide clues. It is an area known for privacy, but not isolation. Neighbors, security cameras, and private patrol services often notice unusual activity. Investigators will likely canvass the area, asking whether anyone saw unfamiliar vehicles, heard sounds, or noticed anything out of the ordinary around the time of death. Another aspect under review will be the home itself. Investigators will look for signs of forced entry, disturbed rooms, or items that appear out of place. They will also assess whether the scene suggests a struggle or whether events unfolded quickly. The positioning of the bodies, the presence or absence of defensive injuries, and blood patterns all matter, though those details are rarely released early. The questioning of a son continues to draw attention, even as authorities have emphasized that no arrests have been made. In situations like this, family members are often among the first people investigators speak with. They can confirm daily habits, recent conversations, health concerns, and personal relationships. Questioning does not imply guilt, but it does reflect the need to eliminate all possibilities. Public reaction to the news has been swift. Social media filled with clips from Rob Reiner's films, quotes from his characters, and memories from viewers who grew up with his work. At the same time, speculation has also spread, much of it unsupported. This is common in high-profile cases, but it is also why officials tend to release information slowly and carefully. Rob Reiner's career adds another dimension to the story. His work shaped how many people think about comedy, romance, and courtroom drama. Films like A Few Good Men remain widely watched, especially among audiences who enjoy dialogue-driven stories. That same audience is now trying to reconcile the image of a celebrated filmmaker with the reality of an unresolved death investigation. Michele Reiner's role in his life was less public, but no less significant. Friends have described her as private and supportive, someone who preferred to stay out of the spotlight. The sudden loss of both individuals at the same time has intensified the sense of disbelief surrounding the case. As the investigation moves forward, certain details will likely become clearer before others. Autopsy findings may establish cause of death and narrow the timeline. Phone records could reveal who last communicated with the couple. Security footage might show movements around the home. Each piece of information helps reduce uncertainty, even if it does not immediately answer every question. Until then, law enforcement will likely avoid confirming or denying specific theories. This stage is about gathering facts, not drawing conclusions. For the public, that can feel frustrating, but it is often necessary to protect the integrity of the investigation. There is also the human side of this story that cannot be ignored. Beyond the headlines and speculation, a family is dealing with an unimaginable loss. Children, grandchildren, and extended relatives are processing grief while the circumstances remain unclear. That reality exists alongside the public interest, even if it is not always visible. Cases like this often take unexpected turns. Early assumptions can change once forensic results are complete. Details reported in the first 24 hours sometimes prove inaccurate or incomplete. That is why many investigators stress patience, even as public attention remains intense. For now, the situation remains unresolved. Rob Reiner and Michele Reiner were found dead in their home. Injuries described in early reports raised serious concerns. Homicide detectives are involved. A son has been questioned. Beyond those facts, much remains unknown. As new information becomes available, the picture will likely sharpen. Until then, the most important thing is to separate confirmed details from speculation and allow the investigation to run its course. This is a developing case, and its direction may change as evidence is analyzed. What stands out most at this moment is how sudden and unexpected the situation is. A figure whose work brought humor, comfort, and memorable stories into millions of homes is now at the center of a mystery that no one anticipated. What do you think investigators will uncover as more details come to light? Share your thoughts below, and if you want updates as this story develops, make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss them.